think the woman as victim has always been a central part of horror. I mean, again, you only have to look at American horror films, and it's very rare that the man is the person who's in danger. And I think it's interesting that in Asia, you have a woman as avenger.
The Asian horror film is about the probing of taboos, using horror to draw out what society tries to hide. For women in particular, their unresolved status in Asian society makes them a prime target for horror filmmakers eager to subvert conventions. The horror film that best explores a woman's role in society is the Japanese cult classic Audition. Audition tells the story of Shigeharu Aoyama, a middle-aged widower who lost his wife to illness. In a fit of loneliness, Aoyama reveals to his friend, a film producer, his desire to start dating again.
この年になって失敗するのはしんどい。だからできれば十分に観察する時間が欲しい。できるだけいろんな女に会って理想の女を選んでみたいんだ。
His friend concocts the perfect plan to find Aoyama the perfect woman.
よろしくお願いします。
どうぞ。
The audition draws a blank. None of the women are found appealing until soft-spoken Asami turns up. Aoyama is immediately attracted to her shy beauty. But unknown to him, it will be a relationship that can only be broken with blood.
However, in actuality, it's not the businessman, but the audiences watching the movie that gets dragged into hell. The movie makes the audience feel betrayed, and they start to lose sight of things, such as why they are watching the movie and what kind of climax they were hoping for.
Unlike Ring Sadako, Audition's villain is not a ghost. Instead, the director turns the conventional idea of a woman on its head, presenting Asami as the submissive model of Japanese femininity, who ultimately wreaks terrible vengeance on those who exploit her.
あなたはもう動けない。体は死ぬけど、神経だけは起こしておいてあげます。
The role of women in Japanese horror as subject matter is very important. Again and again, we have in these films a girl or woman who is wrong, who needs to come back and wreak havoc, seek revenge, seek redress somehow. This is in part because, it could be argued, that the status of women has been so low traditionally in these societies, that there's societies with such rigid social structures, a very specific place for women, and that even now it's hard for women to get ahead or to have positions of responsibility in business, in the workplace. So this is a kind of return of the repressed.
こんばんは。よろしゅうお頼申します。そもそも西宮。
The popular Western image of the subservient Japanese woman continues to fuel the stereotype that her only role is to care for the home and family while men pursue their fancies. Perhaps for men, the idea that a docile Japanese woman can become a fearsome and unstoppable killer is actually shocking and hard to face. Today, the Japanese woman inhabits a world that celebrates modernity. Progress has eaten away at the old order. In the workplace and in the media, Japanese women are beginning to express themselves.
Onayami Japan! 紹介をさせていただきます。岡山が生んだ成功マシーン、岩井島子さんよろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。
Shimako Aiwai is the outspoken co-host for the weekly TV show Crazy About 5 O'Clock. Also a celebrated horror novelist, Shimako more than holds her own in what is traditionally a man's world.
If I had been alive during the Middle Ages in Europe, I'm sure I would have been called a witch and burned at the stake.
As a horror novelist, Shimako has written over 50 books. But her debut novel is still the most talked about, Boki Kyoto. The story is set in the early 19th century, but its message still resonates today. The book has also been made into the horror film Imprint.
Boki Kyoto is about brothels in Okayama in the Meiji era. Women then were homeless 3 times in their lives. When they were born, when they got married, and even when they died, they had no home of their own. The only thing left to do was to sell their bodies. Real life in Japan at that time was far more frightening than ghosts and spirits.
As a Japanese woman who speaks her mind, Shimako is considered unconventional. She uses the genre of horror as a playground to express her views on man's misogynistic fantasies. She even makes a cameo appearance in the film Imprint to drive home her point. Of course, when compared to the horror film Audition and its female lead Asami, Shimako's method of raising an opinion is a little less controversial.
Horror films have a continuing fascination in part because horror is allowed to get away with things that other forms aren't, because it's seen as something that's unreal, obviously. So you can bring in serious issues or sneak in serious issues in a way and somehow diffuse the potential trouble.
Japanese filmmakers have set out to provoke their audience, going right to the edge, using disturbing images to take moviegoers into frightening territory. This is the unnerving effect of The Suicide Club, a movie that explores the taboo of ritualistic suicide in Japan. The film takes extreme creative license with a deadly serious problem in society.
Even though the Japanese are living in a peaceful, war-free society ever since the end of the Second World War, there are more deaths from suicides in Japan than in countries with ongoing wars. Japan is fighting an invisible war. It can be seen with a naked eye, but there is an intense war going on within the country. I wanted to make a movie about a country like this, so I made Suicide Club.
The film's audacious treatment of a troubling phenomenon forced people to take notice. On any given day, this call center in Tokyo receives hundreds of calls from people all over Japan. But this is no ordinary phone service. It's a suicide helpline called Inochi no Denwa. The founder of this helpline is Yukio Saito. In recent years, Saito's anti-suicide drive has shifted its main focus to Japanese men.